Hello everyone, and welcome back to the internet's favorite and longest running series. How do I flip the camera? I can't flip the camera? Alright. Ranking People's Discographies, starring me, Nick Schwartzman. I really can't flip this camera? That's crazy. Anyway, moving right along. Today's people, well, it's gotta be Billy Joel, the Piano Man. And I'm gonna talk about it. About the people's discography. So I really don't know if y'all can see this. I'll figure it out later. He had 12 studio albums, not including the classical one, which doesn't count because he didn't play on it. He just wrote the stuff, and then he had a talented gentleman play the songs. And I've never listened to it because who cares about classical music? He did them from 1971 to 1993. He sold a lot of copies of his musical albums. Maybe I should back up the camera. But the critics, they didn't love it. The critics, they're dumb. They said, Billy, your music is pompous. They said your music is derivative. They said you're very contemptuous in your music. And Billy was like, whatever, bro. I'm making money. I'm selling albums. I'm marrying a supermodel. And I like the music. So I'm gonna keep making it the way I like it. Because as Billy Joel says, it's still rock and roll to me. Speaking of it's still rock and roll to me, I don't have anything to say about that. Now, without further ado, on to the rankings. The first album we're going to talk about is actually Billy's very first album. It's Cold Spring Harbor. It came out in 1971. It's his first album, hooray. Here's the cover of it. It's Billy as a young man. He's got long hair and a mustache. 1971, he was about 22 years old. He didn't go to college. He famously said, I'm not going to go to Columbia University, but I am going to go to Columbia Records after he dropped out of high school. And he did. Columbia Records would sign him eventually. So there's him. The highlight of the album is a nice track called Everybody Loves You Now. It goes, everybody loves you now. And the lowlight, I said that the two lowlights of this album, it's a tie, are between You Can Make Me Free, which goes, you can make me free, and You Look So Good to Me, which goes, ah, you look so good to me. Now, why is this album the worst album? Well, it's the worst album because it's not super deep. I mean, we got a couple of good songs. We got Everybody Loves You Now. We got a couple more. I'm tired. But then, for the most part, it's a lot of meh stuff, you know? And this is coming from his biggest fan in the world. I mean, it's obvious, in my opinion, that a 22-year-old who wanted to be more than a 22-year-old on his own, living in the mean streets of New York City, Long Island, whatever, made this album. It's not sophisticated adult pop, which is what would be said later about one of his albums, I think Nylon Curtain. So yeah, that's the bottom of the barrel. Then we move along to 11, The Bridge. It came out in 1986. There's the album, it's blue. And this album, Billy's like, you know what genre I haven't really dipped my toes into? New wave. He said I'm gonna sound like the Police on this one. And here's the thing, guys. I really like this album. I do. I enjoy it, but I have to be honest and say that from a non-biased perspective, the music isn't great. It's not his deal. He's not a new wave artist, Billy Joel, you know. He's a storyteller. He gets down to the bare bones of the human existence in America, particularly, and also abroad. He's very popular in Japan and the United Kingdom. And he played a big concert in Russia in 1987. Anywho, the highlight of the album is A Matter of Trust, which goes, Matter of Trust. And the lowlight of the album is Getting Closer, which goes, Getting Closer. Also on this album is other stuff. You can look it up. It's not impossible to look up these albums and what's on them. I encourage all of you to look up these albums and what's on them and listen to them for yourself and form your own opinions. But since I am the expert, I'm gonna just share mine a little bit. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm doing this. Number 10 is Piano Man. He made it in 1973. It was his second solo album, the first one that he did in Los Angeles. That's the album cover. It's horrifying. And everybody knows that song, Piano Man. 9 o'clock on Saturday. But it's not actually the highlight of the album. Well, Piano Man is his signature tune. It's the one that a lot of people know the words to. The real highlight of the album is actually a song called Captain Jack. It goes, Captain Jack! It's long. It says the word masturbate in it, which is funny. And the low light of the album, I've got multiple cameras here, that's why I'm always looking around, is If I Only Had the Words to Tell You. And you see here the title is If I Only Had the Words, parentheses, to tell you. Long title for a song that's not great. I think if you're going to commit to having a long title for a song, the song should be great. And unfortunately, that's not the case with it. If I Only Had the Words to Tell You, which goes, If I only had the words to tell you. Alright. Street Life Serenade, number 9, 1974, his second and last album that he made in Los Angeles. It flopped. It flopped. You see, Piano Man was a relatively big success for him. It was his first song, I think, to chart on the charts. It made number like 40, I think 27. I'm not going to do research for this beyond the research that I've already done. I think Piano Man was number 27 on the charts. Anyway, that album was not, it sold, like I said, and it was also popular on the radios. Or not that song, I meant. Captain Jack was also a song popular on the radios. And following those successes, people were like, all right, Billy, what is it now? What it gonna be, Brother Bear? And what it be was Street Life Serenade, an album cover that's just a painting. And it didn't sell at all. It sold poorly. Absolutely poorly. The only song that charted, if I'm not mistaken, was The Entertainer, which is a fun song. I am the entertainer, but it's not the highlight of the album. The highlight of the album is Roberta, which is about a prostitute, and it goes, Roberta. Hey, that's not how it goes. How does it go? Roberta, you say you know me. That's how it goes. The low light is Street Life Serenader, which goes, Street Life Serenader. And the thing about Street Life Serenader is the album, the studio version, sucks. It's slow, and it's boring, and it's trying to do too many things. Not too many things, but things. But the live version of it, on the live album, Songs in the Attic, 1981, is really good. That whole album is really good. And that song, that performance of it's very good. But as a whole, the album, it's short. It's like 8 songs, which I don't think helps it out that much. And 2 of them are instrumentals. Root Beer Rag and The Mexican Connection are instrumental songs, and they're really fun. They're really cool. I was floored when Billy played a little bit of Mexican Connection at his 2017 concert at SunTrust Park in Atlanta, Georgia, because of those 2 instrumentals, Root Beer Rag and Mexican Connection. Root Beer Rag is definitely the more popular one, so I was shocked when he played a little bit of Mexican Connection, leading into Don't Ask Me Why, which is on Glass Houses, which I'll get to later. But yeah, as a whole, this album, which also has a song that Dean likes called, and I like it too, I like it a lot, called Great Suburban Showdown. It's a nice album. I think it's personally underrated. The critics didn't like it. It didn't sell any. I think it's a fun album. I like it. But from a critical standpoint, it's number 9. Engine, number 9, going down the railroad line. Number 8 is River of Dreams. That's a great album cover. Billy's second wife, to whom he was married at the time, Christy Brinkley, painted it herself, and I think it's really nice. Alright, this was Billy's last album, as you can see there. It came out in 1993. And for 27 years now, we've had no Billy releases, album-wise. There have been a couple of singles, and they've been shit, all of them. but that was the last time that we heard from him. In fact, the last song on the album was called Famous Last Words. So he was making a conscious decision that this is going to be the end of the line for his recording career. The highlight of the album is The River of Dreams. Listen, if you talk to Sullivan Patrick Connor about this song, The River of Dreams, he'll tell you he doesn't like it. It's a bad song. And that's why I implore you to not talk to Sully about the song, because it's amazing. It was the song of my childhood, and it's important to me, so please don't talk bad about it. The low light is Shades of Grey. It's whatever. It's fine. Number 7, Stormfront. 1989. It's got We Didn't Start the Fire on it, which... We didn't start the fire? Fuck, I didn't sing the last songs. River of Dreams goes in the middle of the night. Shades of Grey goes Shades of Grey. If you Google Stormfront, the top result is a white supremacist website. That's true. That's the album cover. It's a flag. The album highlight is Shameless, which goes Shameless. And the album lowlight is When in Rome, which goes When in Rome. I just went down the octave there because I'm a baritone. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Stormfront is an album that I think is really fun. It's got bops like Shameless, like We Didn't Start the Fire, like I Go to Extremes. It's got a nice touching ballad about a Russian clown and the Cold War in general called Leningrad. But again, from a critical perspective, from an objective standpoint, it's not his best one. It's middle of the pack. Although if you want to have a good time listening to some late 80s rock and roll, listen to Stormfront. 6, Turnstiles. 1975. This was Billy's first album after returning to New York City, New York, his home. In the album cover, all of the people are supposed to represent the songs. Like, That's I've Loved These Days. I think that's James. That's All You Want to Do Is Dance. I don't know. Yeah. The highlight of the album is Miami 2017, Seen the Lights Go Out on Broadway, which goes, I've seen the lights go out on Broadway. And fun fact about that song, Billy opened up, I think, all of the concerts on his 2017 tour, including the Atlanta one, which I attended, with Miami 2017, because it was 2017 and it's a good song. And so, you know, the song starts and I've seen the lights, and as soon as he started singing, I started crying. I literally started crying, and I was 18 years old at the time, a grown man, kind of. And I started crying, hearing that song live in person in 2017. And I had seen Billy Joel live before, but never as, like, a kind of grown person. It had been years since I'd seen him, and so from then to then, growing up again was like a re-growing up with these songs. They meant something more to me. And so I cried seeing him live. My sister made fun of me because she's mean. And the low light of the album is All You Want to Do Is Dance, which isn't a bad song at all. But it's not great. But it's fun. 5, The Nylon Curtain. That's the album cover. It looks like a wonderful cover for a paperback novel. Roast. It came out in 1982. It's actually Billy's favorite album, the album of which he's most proud. And while not exactly a concept album, all of the songs on the album have a thematic connection of being about the death of the American dream in the 1980s Reagan era. Chew on that. Alright, and the highlight of the album is Goodnight Saigon, which goes, how does that song start? We met as soulmates. The words Goodnight Saigon are never said in the song, that's why I didn't say Goodnight Saigon. And the lowlight of the album is Where's the Orchestra, which goes, Where's the Orchestra? And here's the thing, it's a very pretty song, but it doesn't move me. I find it boring. Roast. Yeah, 1982. This album came out. I think it's good. I think that the songs are very good. Oh, great song on this album is Surprises. I wanted to call it the highlight of the album, but I couldn't do that because I don't think it's better objectively than Goodnight Saigon, but it is my favorite. Surprises. Listen to it. It's also got She's Right on Time, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's on that one, which is a Christmas song. So during Christmas time, listen to She's Right on Time by Billy Joel. And, yeah, it's a good album. None of the songs are my favorites by him, except, Surprises. I wouldn't call the album my favorite by a mile, but I think it's objectively pretty good. And so did the critics. They thought it was alright. And the critics always hated him. It's fine. 4. An Innocent Man. That's the album cover. Came out in 1983. It's a throwback. It's an homage to the pop sounds of pop and R&B of the 50s and 60s, the stuff Billy grew up upon, And it's not... fuck it, whatever. I'm not going to cut it because we don't cut. I'm a one-take wonder. Not to be confused with the Tom Selleck film of the same name, An Innocent Man. The highlight of the album, Uptown Girl. Uptown Girl! Low light, Christy Lee. Let me tell you a story. Christy Lee. I don't know what I did there. But yeah, this is a lovely little album about, not about anything. It's an homage. It's an homage to not a better time, but a different time. A time when things were different. Things are different. From then to now. Things change. Some other songs on there are Tell Her About It, The Longest Time, Leave a Tender Moment Alone. It's a really fun album. This is the type of album that you can play while playing ping pong with your mom in the basement. That's something that happened in my life. Number 3, 52nd Street, 1978. He gets a little jazzy on this one. I think it's number 352 on Rolling Stone's Top 500 Albums of All Time. Again, don't want to research if I don't really feel like it, and I don't. Here's the album cover. Billy's holding a trumpet, an instrument which he does not play, in front of a grimy-ass wall in New York City, baby. The highlight of the album is Until the Night, which goes Until the Night. Again, I went down. And the low light is Honesty, which goes Honesty. Again, I went down. Until the Night is a lovely song. It's an homage to the Righteous Brothers. And, yeah, it's really, really good live. Look up the 1983 live version from Long Island of Until the Night. Rocks. And Honesty, it's fine, but it's boring. I think it might actually be my least favorite song of his. And the thing is, it was a hit. People liked it. Not me. I don't fucks with Honesty. Glass House is number 2. 1980. Billy says, let's rock and also let's roll, please. And this one, it's my personal favorite album. I mean, let's just start with the cover first. As a youngster, and still to this day, I thought, this is a cool album. We got red letters here. We got a house made of glass. Billy Joel wearing tight jeans, black boots, black leather jacket, holding a rock that he's going to throw at his own house with an afro. That's America, baby. Yeah. The highlight of the album is Sometimes a Fantasy, a song about phone sex. Sometimes a fantasy. And the low light is C'était toi, You Were the One, a song about wanting to write a song in French. Roast. And it goes, Ooh, c'était toi, you were the one. Yeah, there's a literal verse in French. It's cool. It's fine. And this album, like I said here, it's rock and roll. This album has the song It's Still Rock and Roll to Me on it. And this is an album where Billy says, you know what, I've been making these soft rock, folk rock, pop, piano rock, pop songs for a while now. I've been telling these stories about people and the American experience and the human condition. Let me just make some rock and roll for a minute. And he made some rock and roll. Other highlights include I Don't Want to Be Alone and Sleeping with the Television On. Please, if you're going to listen to a Billy Joel album, I recommend this one so hardcore. This is the one. You were the one. Number 1 is The Stranger. 1977. This is the album cover. There's boxing gloves, there's a bed, there's a mask, there's Billy Joel. This was number 70 on Rolling Stone's Top 500 Albums, and I know that's the true number because I saw it on Wikipedia. This one, like I said that Glass Houses was my favorite, and this one's definitely the best. And it's not my favorite, like I just said a few times, but it's great. The album highlight is Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, which is Billy's objectively best song and probably my favorite song by him. It's also the best song ever of all time. The lowlight of the album is Get It Right the First Time, which is a fun little song, but it was covered by Donny Osmond. That's all you need to know. This was Billy's first big success. He'd been treading the water of success for a few years, and then this album comes out, and it's got songs like Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, which wasn't a single. It's got Just the Way You Are. It's got She's Always a Woman. It's got Vienna. It's got Only the Good Die Young. And people are like, wait a minute, this guy knows how to write and sing a song about the human condition, about people in America, and maybe abroad too. And this album, The Stranger, 1977, is when Billy breaks on to the scene, and everything changes thereafter. He becomes the big rock star. He gets the Grammy nominations. He wins the Grammy. He won a Grammy for Just the Way You Are. I think it was Best Song of the Year or something like that. That's pretty cool. This album changes the world forever, because this album turns Billy Joel into a superstar. There'd be no Uptown Girl. There'd be no We Didn't Start the Fire. There'd be no River of Dreams without this album. And without this album being recognized by people. People buying the album and critics reviewing the album and saying it's good for the first time in Billy's career. So we got a lot to be thankful for when it comes to this album. We as the general public. Great songs, great parties, rock and roll, human existence. That's it. That's the rankings. Like, subscribe, and comment if any of those things sound appealing to you. Like Billy Joel, he's about to like, subscribe, and comment in this picture. And thanks for watching. Bye. Wait, I pressed the wrong button.